prince is on
The puppet.
It's more likely to be the puppet master.
All of them.
If you're planning to take care of him like...
He is using more.
I can take care of...
Let me see if I can do another healing. This would be great. Nope. Needed blood. Okay, maybe I can do that. Ooh.
That was one tough death's head. But it won't command anyone now. Without their general, the Dead Walkers should leave us alone for a while. But they'll reorganize, so we can't stay here.
You're right, mercenary. Let's use the time to leave. It's now or never if we're going to get to Karalthas. My father and the armies of the Free Nations should be there. If we hurry, we may be able to participate in the mother of all battles and finally push back the Ice Lords.
If thou dost throw thyself into this battle, the only thing that thou wouldst find is thy death, and the only chance thou hast for saving this world will disappear with thee. Their armies will not win. He knows this, but that is not what motivates him. He is seeking his father's approval. He wants to buy the crown by delivering us to his king. He believes we are at his command. But he is mistaken. I only serve and live for the World Heart. Thy elven city is closer. I can feel it. Forget these suicidal battles. If thou join with them, thy so-called friends will end up turning against thee out of fear or envy.
Edwin seems to be fascinated by you. And I'm the only one who has supported her. She has no reason to oppose me.
The alliance of pariahs. Do not say that thou dost really believe that. Especially about that sorceress. She will do anything for a bit of power. And thou wouldst cling to her yet? Thou hast no more choice. Thou must hasten to the World Heart and purify it. It is thine only chance. Do combat there, and if thou art not slain, at least one of thy companions, if not all of them, will betray thee to try to control or study the power I bring thee.
Vulcan? Vulcan? You were far away. Is it the demon? He was talking to you, wasn't he?
Yes, it happens sometimes.
You have to make a decision soon. Will you join us in the battle at Karalthas?
I don't know yet.
I understand. It's been a long day. I'll let you think it over for a while. Let me know when you've made a decision.
Okay, this was pretty hard fight. I just want to tell you what's my tactic. As you could see, against the general, I was trying to avoid to get hit, because that's captain difficulty, and if you get hit, you're pretty much dead. What's pretty important, I think I'm used to ranger and the attack. And pretty important is this one here. The ability to run during the fight. I highly recommend to do this, and I highly recommend to use the ranger. In the middle of the fight, there are two ads. Kill them first, or let them kill. As you could see in my fight, I mostly avoided the captain, and the Elven Prince did all the work. The only, if you get this ice snowflake on your status bar, you are slow. And when you are slow, you're getting hit. So avoid this. And when he does his spiking attack, where the ice comes from the ground, immediately after that you can go and do a hit. If he turns around and you get his attention, try to avoid him, and if he attacks, slam the parry button. Well, that's all. Hope that helps.
We'll be able to break camp soon. Where's our next objective?
For now, we're going to stick with the Red Scribes. They haven't paid us yet, and they won't until we reach Carlthass. In any case, that's where we're headed. I sent Wolf on ahead of us a few weeks ago to see if he could find fresh volunteers for us, but I don't think there's much hope of that. This war is looking worse and worse for us. In 10 years fighting, the Deadwalkers haven't lost a single battle. I suppose we could hide for a while. But considering what's left of Vertiel, that would be like hiding in a pile of ashes. We have to come up with some alternatives. And for now, I can only think of one. The demon. For the moment, it's the only card we have left to play.
Thy captain is less stubborn than thee. Methinks I should perhaps have chosen him as a vessel.
He is the best weapon we have. Since he's been with me, we've beaten a Juggernaut and a Deadwalker general. He could be the thing that changes the course of this war for us.
I never know if it's you or it that's talking to me. But I feel like we have the same goals. So let's go to Carlthass. We'll link up with our brothers in arms and try to find a way to access the World Heart. I'm not going to pretend this is the best plan I've ever made. To tell you the truth, it's not even a plan. But I guess we're going to have to defer to this demon.
Prince Arundel is asking us to join up with his forces in Carlthass to fight the Deadwalker army. What do you think?
For years now, the Knight has fought in many battles and with many different armies. The generals, the kings, and the chiefs of those armies were usually ready to sacrifice the lives of their men with no remorse in order to win. If the mercenary goes to Carlthass, this prince will use him for his own purposes and sacrifice him if needs be. He cares for nothing beyond his own safety. And if he is faced with the Ice Lords, he would turn and flee, as did his brothers before him. The Knight is weary of these doubts and petty thoughts. He wishes to return to the attack and strike the Ice Lords at their very hearts. If he was in the mercenaries' place, he would listen to the demon and follow its plan. And he would like to know that he would not stand alone in this final battle.
Do you think we ought to follow the prince to Carlthass?
If you want to get to the World Heart, we'll need to go by there. But the prince's company seems both unnecessary and dangerous. Believe me, I know his type all too well. Invested with a mission he is soon overwhelmed by, probably named by some obscure prophecy. In the name of his family, or because of an idealized vision of his future duties as sovereign, he will give his all. In other words, all his imbecility. Chasing after glory and honor, unprepared and unprotected, he will only lead us to disaster.
Seeing the shit we're in, I don't think he's doing it just for the glory. He's got an interest in having everybody survive.
And in making it look like everyone has survived entirely due to his talents, and not those of a mercenary who can produce flames and defeat a general of the Deadwalkers. Do you really believe he wants you around just because he enjoys your company? Not to mention the increasing threat implied by our friends dressed all in red.
What do you suggest we do?
When we get to Carlthass, we better give them the slip and head to Blackfrost's domain.
Why should we go down there?
Because those lands are positioned quite close to the city of the elves, and like all the lands of the Ice Lords, it's a point of entry into the World Heart.
Do you think we should listen to Prince Arundel and go with him to Carlthass?
The great elven army and what is left of the human army in this part of Vertiel are now gathering at Carlthass. Separately, none of these troops stood a chance. But united... well, in any case, it's the only hope we have left. Reinforcements from the Freeborn Blades and Red Scribes will help. And so will you, from what I've seen. And even if I don't approve of all the strategic choices made by my sovereign these last few years, I think he'll rise to the occasion now that he can no longer retreat. He knows the lands around Caroldthas perfectly, so I'm sure he will bring the battle onto terrain that will favor us. And since you're curious to know more about what happened to you, my people's scholars are famous. They can surely help you.
You've got it all figured out.
I believe we can manage to hold the Deadwalker army back this time, though it's a bit early to start celebrating.
What do you intend to do now? We can't stay here.
I have to talk things over with the other members of my order. But we planned on going to Caroldthas, and I think that is still the best idea. Everything that is left of the human and elf armies is there. If we join forces, we should be strong enough to hold out against the Deadwalkers. The contract with your company only ends once there anyway, and I doubt your captain wants to break it. What's more, it might be an excellent opportunity to learn more about your guest. The elven sages are famous, and their library holds many reference books. And I suggest, until we should learn more, that you neither listen to it nor obey it. I think it's lying to you, manipulating you, and that it has other goals than just our survival.
Arundel wants me to go with him to Caroldthas. What do you think?
You should go with him. Caroldthas is our only hope for now, and the prince seems like a good man. We would be safer there. Both the human and elven armies are gathered there, and I believe you may find some answers there also. The elven sages are some of the wisest people on Vertial. If anyone can figure out what has happened to you, they can.
It's pretty obvious what happened to me. A demon has somehow gotten into my head, and now I gotta live with it.
And this does not worry you?
All I know is, I'm a lot stronger since this demon possessed me.
For now, all you seem to care about are these newfound powers, this presence that makes you feel stronger. But what will happen if it also grows stronger? Have you noticed how much you have already changed? I fear that soon there will be little left of Vulcan. In any case, you must find out more about this thing. You must go to Caroldthas so they can examine you. I believe you must find a way to control this thing, or even rid yourself of it before it's too late.
There you are, at last. So, have you made your decision?
We will go together to Caroldthas, but once there our paths must part. I have to find the World Heart and purify it.
I hope that you will change your mind on the way. We will need you.
It is but a stage.
It is not enough.
It is a stage. To move in haste would risk incinerating this body, and that is not what we want. Why think thee that the necromancers use their ritual spears to suck the lifeblood from the World Heart? Why think thee ist that not one among them can control the flame? They can but use the energy of the World Heart. We hold its power, the flame. Aside from the dragons, no fleshly vessel has ever been able to master it.
Yes, and see what good it did them? Now that I am revealed, the sorcerers will covet this power.
As do thy supposed allies. Thou shouldst beware of them, and their weakness. Let nothing stop thee from preserving thyself, lest we finish, as did the dragons.
Perhaps it is time I took things in hand.
Vulcan, have you seen something?
They use thee.
Coming, Vulcan? Your captain will be wondering where we are.
Huh? Yes, of course. Let's go.
There you are, sire. Right. Change of plan. Seeing how cold it is, it will come as no surprise to you to learn that the dead walkers have already been here. They're still close.
We must rejoin my father's army as swiftly as we may.
I think we already found them. Take a look around us.
There are survivors. Apparently they are camped not far from here. This soldier will lead us to them.
Prince Arundel, my lord, can it be you?
Soldier, what happened here? Is the king with you?
The Deadwalkers took us by surprise. The cold and the ice. We stood no chance. Almost all of the city has been invaded by the ice.
My father! Where is the king?
I know not, your highness. But a few of us were able to escape. Lord Commander Valen has built a camp close by the city.
Valen is here. Take us to his camp.
By your leave. Follow me, my lord.
My prince, we had lost all hope of seeing you return safe. We have no word from Bastion.
Bastion is lost, Valen. We came into this war too late. The General of the Alliance gave his life that I should escape with Relmar.
The deserter. What business did he have at Bastion?
The deserter was fighting, while you and your wondrous army waited, warm and safe, sat upon their asses. I hope the result is pleasing to you, Valen.
Silence, both of you. Relmar saved my life, Valen. For now, you will consider him pardoned.
By your will, my lord. And I see that you are escorted by the Freeborn Blades.
In truth, they are escorting the Red Scribes. But their presence is our good fortune. They have already once put the dead walkers to rout in the marshes. This man slew one of their generals before my very eyes. I will tell you more of this later. Now I must speak with my father. Where is he?
No one knows, my prince. The king was still in the royal palace when the river Estelduin fell upon the city.
The river? What happened?
'Twas like a great wave that froze all that it touched. We had seen the approach of the Deadwalkers' vanguard 4 days before, and we had raised Caroltos' defenses in preparation. Not even the sight of 10 juggernauts would have feared us, but we never dreamt that an Ice Lord would come to lead the assault himself. He walked calmly to within an arrow's flight of the gates, never once speaking. And then, the river rose up from its bed to form a gigantic cloud that hung up over Caroldos. We understood our peril too late. Near all of our soldiers stood atop the ramparts or in the streets when the ice cloud fell. All were frozen where they stood. That was his signal to launch their assault, but we were already vanquished. We fought to cover our retreat.
We must find the king!
I know, my prince, but every entry to the city is guarded, and we cannot risk being discovered.
It is clear we will not travel 200 paces if we do not first slay the sentinels close to the encampment. Only then will we be able to attempt to enter the city and save your father.
I'm sorry, but you'll be going without the Freeborn Blades. Our mission here is completed. We will only be able to go on a reconnaissance mission. I had men in Caroltas. If they're still alive, I must do all I can to get them out. But if it's confirmed that they're dead, my company are leaving. The Red Scribes have been delivered to Carlthas. Our contract has been fulfilled.
We are only delivered outside the city gates of Caralthas, Captain. The gold that we owe you lies inside its walls.
We have brought you as close as is possible. I will not send my men to their slaughter. You are in the hands of the Elven army now, Liestas, as was promised. The fact that you failed in your mission is not my problem. You can keep your goddamn gold. There's nowhere left in this cursed region to spend it anyhow.
That is regrettable, Captain. Your experience would have been a boon to us. I can only hope you will reconsider your decision.
Some of my soldiers tell me that the Deadwalkers have taken prisoners. Perhaps your own men are amongst those unhappy souls.
Vulcan, we'll make camp close to the south gate. You go and question those lads. With a little luck, one of them might have seen something.
Understood, Captain.
Wait! Wait! There are many powerful creatures around us.
How powerful?
One of them feels too strong, even for you. The others are less able to resist you. You should start with the weaker ones and absorb their energy before taking on the big one. Do you think you can handle it?
I'll let you know after I've tried. Do you have a moment? I wanted to ask you a few things. What do you know about Carlthas?
It's a very ancient city. Far more ancient than it appears. The elves are master preservers of architecture. They shrink from destroying, preferring to construct new strata on top. You can find traces of Caralthas in works that are over 1,000 years old. Some buildings, like the Royal Palace, are of unequaled complexity. But the city also incorporates more primitive districts. And there must be underground areas as a result of all these piles.
Who is this Black Frost?
Don't tell me that you don't know the name.
Don't take me for an idiot. I know what he is, but that doesn't really help much, does it?
He's one of the Seven. He's known for his craftiness, his guile. He prefers using magic rather than his armies. In the past, he used to be more discreet. But for 2 years now, he's been leading the Deadwalkers' assaults, and is regularly seen in the front lines.
What changed?
I don't know. The Ice Lord's alliance is a delicate balance. It is possible that this is the result of an internal power struggle. He has certain abilities that make him fit for the role. Black Frost is without a doubt very effective. Just look at the destruction around us.
What happened here?
As far as I understand it, the Elfin army was caught unaware by powerful magic that buried them under ice in an instant.
They didn't stand a chance.
And how could they? Such magic requires the presence of a very powerful sorcerer. Someone on the order of an Ice Lord. They rarely take to the battlefield, but when they do, all hope is lost. Rumor here has it that it was the work...
Let's change the subject. Later.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I...
Can I have a look at your...
A good day to you, mercenary.
Just in time, Vulcan. I'm afraid I need your...
What happened to you now?
To me, nothing. It's about my people. Have you ever heard?
No. Worth a lot?
No. I mean, yes. It's priceless, but it's not for sale.
I'm not sure I follow you.
I'll explain. Every elf possesses a stone of souls, which contains the memories and emotions from all the greatest moments of his life. These stones are passed from generation to generation. It's a way of preserving the memories of our people and of honoring our ancestors. With all of those who died at Carolthas, there are thousands of stones abandoned in the city. We cannot just leave them there. You are no doubt the one who will be traveling to our city the most. If you could bring back as many of them as possible, I'd be eternally grateful. Actually, all of my people will be in your debt. At least the ones who still live.
All right, I'll take care of it. But don't expect to see me dancing around with a wheelbarrow full of rocks.
That would in fact be an amusing sight. But I do get your meaning. Whenever you can, check the bodies of elves you come across and collect the stones. Even if we manage to save only a very few, we will at least preserve some of the memories of my people.
I'll see what I can do. Let's move on.
Good day, even if the expression isn't necessarily appropriate. Can I help you?
I have some questions I'd like to... Can you tell me more about the battle?
Battle? I don't really think you could call it that. We got wiped off the field. A defeat they'll be singing about in 1,000 years, if there's still anyone left to sing. Just when our troops were getting ready to take the Deadwalkers' assault, that monster Blackfrost appeared at their head. And in a flash, the Estelduin left its banks and came down on the city, then froze most of our troops under these huge blocks of ice. Not many survived, and our city, well, you can see for yourself.
How did you manage to survive?
I guess that's the advantage of being a smith. The fireplaces protected me, and I had the time to escape before the undead showed up. Without my equipment, unfortunately.
Do you know the prince personally?
I've done business with His Highness, yes, but I wouldn't say I really know him. I was honored enough to forge the first suit of armor that the king gave him. But I guess you're not really interested in the past. I can tell you that he hasn't let up since the war started. Several times after he came back to Carolthas, I've repaired his equipment, and from what I've seen, he must have been in the thick of things. I suppose he's our ruler now, as his father, may his soul reach the jewel, is dead.
What can you tell me about the king?
What do you want to know? He was lost in the battle, unfortunately. He was a great king, wise and cautious. Maybe too much so if you can believe what's happening to us these days. I guess that despite everything, we should be grateful to him that we are the last to fall.
Where's the elven army?
Army? What army? Our forces were decimated by the ice, and more died after that, killed by the undead or by despair. As for those who are still here, their equipment is battered, and I can't do a thing. What can an army hope to do like that?
Do you know Relmar?
Do I know him? He's a legend for us. His repute has grown since this war began. But to be honest, it wasn't always this way. He robbed so many convoys and carts, every craftsman and merchant hated him, including me. But how can we keep hating him now? In the end, he was right.
Let's talk about something. Show me what you have.
Alas, not much. I'm missing so much... Well, well, you again.
Show me what you have.
Alas. I have nothing to say to you, mercenary. You want to follow these gutless elves? That's your choice, not ours. Now leave us!
Mercenary, I owe you my life. I'll never forget that.
How did you get out of your coma in the village?
I don't know. All I know is that I opened my eyes and heard the sound of fighting. I just had the time to grab my weapon and get out into the village square. It looked like the general of the Deadwalkers was waiting for me. Sometimes, the sense of duty is more powerful than the pain of wounds.
So that business of cures was useless.
You'll never know. Maybe I would have woken up sooner, but I don't blame you. From what I was told, I was in a desperate state, and you had other things to do.
Do you know Relmar well?
I knew him well. A long time ago, when we were young. He and I were milk brothers. We grew up together in my father's palace. But life goes on, and by the time we were adults, we were forced apart. Relmar defied my father's authority, and openly rebelled against his people. He betrayed us.
He had a good reason for it.
A good reason? What reason? Dragging us into a war with the Ice Lords without preparation?
His cause was just. He refused to watch the other peoples of Vertiel suffer and fall one after the other. If the elves had helped, maybe we wouldn't be here today.
We could talk about how just his cause is for days. How could we know what would have happened? Maybe we wouldn't be here today. He wanted to act fast. He was always impulsive. But that behavior led him to reject his king. And his best friend at the same time. He betrayed us, and his recent feats of arms can't change anything, even if it wounds my heart.
Why did the elves enter the war so late?
That decision cost us dearly. It isn't easy to watch the other peoples of Vertiel suffer and fall one after the other. But our king felt that we needed to gain time. We had information about the Deadwalkers that led us to be careful. Long before the war officially began, they were already crushing all of their opponents far to the north.
And you said nothing? You could have warned the other kingdoms.
We told them to avoid the fight, to flee and regroup. They didn't listen to us. So we preferred to stay neutral and not provoke the Ice Lords. They must have known they couldn't defeat us without losing a large part of their strength. So they saved the greatest prize for the last. We thought that our best trained troops could halt them. We underestimated them, and neglected to take into account the fact that each army they defeated made them stronger.
Are you from Carolthas?
Yes, I was born there. I spent most of my life there. Carolthas is one of the most ancient of our cities. I mean, it was. We knock things down so seldom that the city is built in layers. But I've unfortunately never visited the underground levels, and I'm unfamiliar with the passageways there. I suppose that's why you asked the question.
I'll be going now. Damn, it's freezing here. Aren't you cold?
I've spent many winters in libraries with no heating. After that, you hardly notice the cold. Which reminds me, do you know if the library in the city is still intact?
No idea. You looking for any book in particular?
Not a book, many books. The elves have the most advanced culture in the world. Their libraries contain works of inestimable value. We should find them. They could be useful to us.
Vulcan, I hope you've got good news.
I still haven't found your passageway beneath the city.
It's there, somewhere, and we have to find it. It's our only chance.
There were Freeborn blades in Carolthas. Do you know if they survived?
Your captain told me about them, but I don't know what happened to them. Some of my soldiers reported that they saw humans among the Deadwalkers' prisoners. That's all I know. Talk to them. They can tell you if they were your brothers in arms or not.
What's the situation between here and the city?
We've lost control of the outlying areas. The Deadwalkers have set up 2 watchtowers and are patrolling the Carolthas perimeter. If we make the slightest sortie, they'll spot us.
Two towers, huh? Precious. I could take them for you, if it would give us some breathing room.
That would let us try to execute some sorties. Up to you. But if you do try it, I'd be much obliged if you would let me know as quickly as possible. Because that breathing room won't last long before the Deadwalkers realize something's up.
I have some questions I'd like... How did you survive the Battle of Carolthas?
I was lucky. When we got wind of the arrival of the Deadwalkers, our king sent me to reconnoiter. I was outside Carolthas when they attacked. Over the days that followed, I tried to gather together as many survivors as I could. Alas, that was all I could do.
Do you have any information about what's going on in the city?
Very little. I can only trust what the last soldiers who got out have said. Apparently, most of the Deadwalker troops have left, including Lord Blackfrost. He assigned one of his concubines to control the region, but I have no idea what kind of creature we're dealing with. That said, if the Ice Lords keep to their usual tactics, they'll clean up the last pockets of resistance and start transferring their prisoners.
Do you know if there's any other resistance in Vertiel?
The rare information I get these days is not good. Several human kingdoms have capitulated unconditionally. The Chiller has apparently laid waste to one of the major elf settlements in the east. We have no news of the others. There are probably pockets of resistance, but they are tiny and have no hope against the Deadwalkers.
This war is lost. Thou wouldst better find the deepest pit and cower there until all is over.
It is my duty to fight to the last breath. regardless of what chance you think we have of succeeding.
What can you tell me about the prince?
I understand what you're asking. Is he up to it? The answer is yes. Since the start of this war, the prince has always been in the front line. He has demonstrated skill and courage, sometimes endangering his own life. He has, of course, taken some unnecessary risks, but the situation was different then. I think he'll be more cautious in the future.
I see. The young prince wanted to prove to his father that he was deserving of his affection.
He was merely seeking to protect his people.
I'll be going now.
Mercenary!
Did you see any freeborn blades in Carolthus after the Deadwalkers' assault?
Any what?
Freeborn blades. Mercenaries like me.
Difficult to say if they were mercenaries, but I saw some humans, yes. Some of them got captured by the living dead, others... Anyway, I don't need to draw you a picture.
Do you know where they were taken?
Only thing I saw was that they were split into several groups. For the rest, I was too busy staying alive.
How did you manage to make it through the battle?
Bit of luck, just like with everyone who survived. I'd pulled guard duty so many times in a row that I was sent on R&R. If you really want to know, I was in a steam room when the attack came, having a really hot bath. It was horrible. The deathly silence that fell on the city just like that was just that awful cracking of ice. Anyway, I jumped into my uniform and ran like crazy until I found my commander. And now here I am. Nothing really heroic about it, I'm afraid.
What can you tell me about your commander?
I hardly know him. I wasn't in his unit. As far as I know, he wasn't that high up, but he's the highest-ranking officer we have left. Anyway, I have to admit that he managed to bring us together, set up camp, and get a bit of cohesion going in us fugitives. That's not too bad.
How are things going in the camp?
Bah, we're short of everything and morale's not great. But we're together and alive. And most of us are really pissed off. In a way, you could say everything's fine. Even if I heard that the survivors from the human army were kicking up a bit of a fuss.
I'm leaving.